You're listening to Becoming Wildly Resilient, brought to you by University of Kentucky Human Resources, Health and Wellness. Together, we will discover how we can thrive at work, home, and beyond.
Welcome back to Becoming Wildly Resilient Conversation. I'm guest host Tammy Akin with UK HR Health and Wellness. Today we're talking about something that we all do every day, eating. But not just what we eat, where our food comes from. Do you know where your food comes from? Not the grocery store, but before that. Who grew it? How far did it travel? How fresh was it when it reached your plate? Today, we're exploring how eating local food supports both physical well-being and community health, and why it's about much more than trends or taste.
Today, I'm joined by Kristi Durbin, an Agriculture Extension Specialist Senior in Horticulture and the University of Kentucky Organic Farming Unit CSA Manager. Thank you so much for being with us today, Kristi.
It's great to be here.
Can you tell me a little bit about what your position involves, particularly around the Farming Unit CSA Manager?
CSA, for those who may not be familiar, stands for Community Supported Agriculture. It is essentially a vegetable subscription. I manage this program at the University of Kentucky's Horticulture Research Farm, and we grow over 40 different crops, 200 varieties of those crops, and we deliver them to about 250 members who pay in. For that payment, they get a weekly vegetable box every single week during our growing season. That lasts about 22 weeks from May to October. And a lot of the UK staff faculty are members of that program.
When we hear or say eating local, what does that actually mean in practical terms?
That is a great question. I think it's a question that is debated quite a bit in the agricultural space. Technically, if we were to look at the USDA definition, they're going to define it as a food that is produced, transported, and distributed within a 400-mile radius. Now, a 400-mile radius for Lexington, Kentucky, that would make local meaning something from Michigan, DC, Georgia, or Memphis, Tennessee. That's a large swath, and I doubt a lot of folks would be on board with that definition. From my perspective, I think a lot of folks think about local as being tied to a community and a geographic space they can feel connected to. In that sense, I think some people would define local as anything in Kentucky from the home state, whereas others might say it's from my county or something of that nature. I think it really is a consumer decision how they define local and whether or not they recognize the 400-mile radius as something they would consider to be local.
400 miles does seem like a long stretch to define that for individuals, particularly in Kentucky, because that would be a lengthy travel. How fresh is the food when it arrives? But I can appreciate the USDA giving guidance on that. I agree with you. I think more individuals would definitely think about what's within their own community from a geographic standpoint, maybe within a 25 to 50 mile radius. Eating local has become such an important topic in recent years. We know throughout the state there's been a lot of work done around the Kentucky Proud brand, which incorporates a lot of farms across the state to provide these local products. Why do you think eating local has become such a topic in recent years?
I think it got a lot of attention because of the pandemic, honestly. There was a sort of resurgence of interest in purchasing local food. During the pandemic, things were completely upended and a lot of businesses suffered. There was uncertainty about, is there going to be employees to work and distribute, or the distribution channels for food going to be disrupted? And I think part of it was folks being uncertain about, was food security something they needed to think about. During that time, I think farmers, particularly local farmers, were really doing well. They got a lot of new customers during the COVID pandemic. A lot of folks who never bought from a local farm, but they saw that as a reliable, secure food source. I think that played a big factor. In general, I would say we talk about sustainability which encompasses economics, the environment, and social issues. When we talk about that, it ties into local food in that sense of mindfulness about where we're putting our food dollars and wanting to think about the changes and the impacts that has on our communities for the economy, also for the world in terms of how that's affecting greenhouse gas emissions, things like that with food transport. It's a big one.
You mentioned eating and mindfulness. How does eating local contribute to mindful eating?
I've never maybe thought about it in those terms, but I do think eating local can make you more mindful about your food. I think that has to do with relationships. Honestly, supporting local food systems, it is relational. You're buying from your neighbors, people in your community. So there is that mindfulness when you're eating it too, that this food is being grown, produced, distributed, sold by people that are your actual neighbors in your actual community. You might pass them on the street or the kids go to school together. So that reality is, I think, new for people, that they might know their farmer. This idea that you could know your farmer, know who grows your food. And I think the mindfulness too is about if you know your farmer, you can trust them, ask them questions, and get to know how they're growing the food, and you can feel good about that. I think sometimes it's the black box of food being shipped from out of state or country, and you don't know what took place to get it to your plate. And so that mindfulness of, I know exactly who grew this. I can see them at the farmer's market, and if something went wrong or didn't taste right, I can go talk to them.
Absolutely. In health and wellness, we recognize 8 well-being components, and one of those is physical well-being. And physical typically encompasses exercise, sleep, nutrition. A lot of people, when they think about eating local, think about ways to improve their nutrition. We know many people care about the health benefits of eating local. What are the biggest benefits of eating local, and how does it affect individuals' physical well-being and nutrition?
That's a great point. The data suggests that transportation and storage result in decline of nutrient value. When you look at certain nutrients, you can see anywhere between 15 and 70% nutrition losses over the course of even 7 days. That would vary based on the nutrient you're looking at, the crop you're looking at. But of course, that's a wide range of nutrient loss you can see over the course of 7 days. In that sense, by eating locally, you're getting fresher food. And therefore, I think you are actually getting more nutrient dense food. You're not having as much nutrient loss in your local food. I can't say that for sure 100% of the time, but the data suggests that transportation and storage result in decline of nutrient value. So there is that physical aspect for sure.
There's a community side of well-being to eating local. When you buy local, you're doing more than just feeding yourself. You're actually investing in the community. Beyond personal health, what are the benefits of eating local on the community as a whole?
That's a great question. Again, the USDA did research on this and they keep tabs on the economics of food consumption in the United States. The most recent one from 2023, the data showed that farmers are receiving 15.9 cents for every dollar spent on food in the United States. If you start eating locally, the impact on your community is that you're keeping your food dollars in that community. So that other 84.1 cents of that food dollar is going to people who are doing processing, packaging, distributing, a lot of outsourced money. And a lot of that's leaving your community. Could also be leaving the United States if we're bringing in imports. In that regard, you're keeping the money back in your economy, back in your own community. And that's benefiting the farmer for sure. But I also think it benefits the community to build a stronger, more resilient economy and a food system, having a more secure food system to meet the needs of the populace in your community.
We hear a lot around access and affordability, and we know that eating better foods can be a little bit more costly. What challenges do people face when it comes to access and affordability?
Local food sometimes isn't cheaper. You might have to spend more of your money on food to have a local product that's produced or grown locally. So that is a real consideration for folks who want to have affordable food. There are some great programs out there to help support folks struggling with access or affordability. I'll mention a couple of them that I think are really good. One is the Double Dollars program. So folks who get SNAP or WIC benefits can go to the farmers market and get double dollars for fresh food purchases at select farmers markets. That's amazing. And stretching those dollars. There's also several markets that offer sliding scale. The idea here is a sliding scale market or a sliding scale CSA. If you can't afford the same price as your neighbor, your income is a lower level, you can opt in at a lower payment plan as a sliding scale. And your neighbors who are at a different economic bracket, they're able to select a higher rate for their CSA. And therefore, the sliding scale makes it equally accessible to people of different economic and income brackets. Those are just two examples. The Fresh Stop markets here in town is an example of that sliding scale model. I'd also like to mention our friends down at Food Chain on West 6th Street. They are doing a free meal plan. So they're actually providing free meals to the community. They have teaching classes, a shopping experience, and they provide a hot meal during the week. So again, a lot of that is local food. They're getting donated and then making fresh meals, which is amazing. Again, props to them for doing some really wonderful things in our community here in Lexington. Of course, I'd be remiss not to mention that UK, for their employees, does provide a $200 voucher for folks to join a CSA. If you want to become a member of a farm, whether it's UK or another farm, you can do that. If you're on a health care plan at UK, then you might qualify for that $200 benefit. So that's pretty exciting. And that's been a big game changer for us and for the farming community, particularly with the CSAs. A lot of UK employees are taking advantage of that. And that's a great benefit.
Absolutely. For someone who would want to start eating more local, where would you tell them to begin?
That's a great question. To start eating local, reach out and find where your farmers markets are. Most counties have them. Not every county, but a lot of counties do have their own farmers markets. That's going to be the best place to meet a variety of farmers. You get to have conversations with them and also buy a variety of products. It's not all vegetables. You might find fruits, baked goods, honey, things like that. That's another way to support local, not just producers, but local businesses, local bakers, things of that nature. So farmers market is a great way to start. There are a lot of good resources out there to locate your farmers market. Kentucky Proud, as we've talked about, has their own database of farmers and farmers markets. The Oak Organic Association of Kentucky, they have a Find a Farm directory. That's also a great resource if you're wanting to find a farm in your county or in your area to support. A lot of farms offer walk-up farm stands or on-farm farm stores. There's a lot of those in this area, which could be taken advantage of as well. I'd say that's a good first step. Just try to see what's out there. What's the landscape of local food in my community? And then maybe challenge yourself to shop somewhere you're not normally shopping. And you may not find a lot of local food at your normal shopping stops, but there are other areas in town, cooperatives and things of that nature where you can go and find local products. A lot of times they're labeled, so you'll know it's local because they like to advertise it. They really want to draw attention to that. I'd say as a third step, if you've already explored farmers markets and then you've explored shopping somewhere new, then thinking about a CSA, that's the last iteration, I would say, of buying local. It's definitely a fun adventure. It's not for everyone, but it's a lot of food and a lot of good food. It's a good way to develop a relationship with a farm.
And they typically have varying sizes at most farms, correct?
Yeah. In addition, lots of different farms. Some are certified organic. Some of them are aggregated. So you have multiple farms contributing to a CSA. So you get to know several different farms. Others offer customization where you can customize what vegetables you're getting. Some have home delivery where you can get them delivered to your doorstep. Others, like our program, invite our customers to come and have a shopping experience. So they come to us or they come out to our spot at the UK campus and then they get to pick their own items out. And that's a lot of fun for them. Depending on what kind of experience appeals to you, there's probably a CSA program that could meet your desires.
And you mentioned farms that are certified organic. Are there special requirements, and what are the benefits for utilizing an organic farm?
Yes, so the UK farm, we are certified organic with the USDA. We have been since 2007. Organic certification, it's totally optional. It's based on whether the farmer wants to pursue that. But it is a rigorous certification program. Those farmers are audited. So they are visited by an auditor from either the USDA or KDA or whatever agency is certifying them. They will come to their farm and do an inspection. They are looking that those farms are following certain practices. One of the biggest things about organic certification is that we have to think about the soil and the ecological health of the farm. I think that's usually surprising to folks. When I share that, I don't think that's the first thing they think of when they think of organic. But the definition of organic is about ecological and soil health and how we're going to work with nature, not against nature. In that sense, organic farms do have to adhere to certain regulations. For example, we cannot use any input. We can't use any kind of product in amending our soil that is not biologically derived. It has to be completely from nature and not synthetic. So that's one of the regulations. They're also making sure that you're honoring the organic label and that you're doing certain on-farm practices to promote soil health. They're looking for what are those practices that you're doing, and they're going to audit you on those. For example, one thing we do at UK is what's called crop rotation. We move crops around the farm, and that is a way to break disease cycles and to promote soil health. We also do things like grow crops just for the benefit they give to the soil. We're not always cropping every single field. We're having fallow periods and times when we're putting in a cover crop. Those are practices that not every farm is going to do. But if you're organic, there is an expectation that you're going to adopt some of these practices. When the customer buys organic product, they know that A, their farmer's gone through great lengths to get that certification. B, they know that their farmer is really taking care of the land, of the community, the ecological community of their farm. And see, I think they can really feel good about how their food is being produced.
I know from our experience partnering with farms around the state for the CSA program, they will have some add-on opportunities, whether that would include eggs, meat, or poultry, in addition to the weekly vegetables and/or fruit that may be provided. Is that something that you guys include in your CSA as add-ons?
We offer a farm stand during the CSA pickups when our customers come to get their CSA share. They also have the option of buying extras on site. Some of those extras are different items or more of the same item. We also partner with some folks at UK to provide honey that is harvested from the UK North Farm off Newtown Pike. And so we have things of that nature available for sale. I will say other farms, yes, they offer eggs, meat, honey, bread, lots of different things you can add on through other CSAs.
As you were talking about where folks should begin about eating local, a lot of farms or a lot of places will have you pick days. I know for myself, that was an opportunity to try out a farm. A lot of times you pick opportunities around fruit in particular, but that might be something that individuals could consider to eating local compared to buying it at the grocery store where you don't know how far it's traveled and you are hand picking it. Are there any thoughts around that as a good stepping stone for folks?
I love that suggestion, Tammy. I think that's a great one. There's a lot of agritourism in this area. I think most folks are familiar with the orchards where you can go and do apple picking in the fall. But of course, you have strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, a lot of those other berries with you pick. That's a great option for sure. And exploring, like I said, what kind of farm stands are out there. I know there are even flower farms that have a farm stand. You can buy a bouquet of flowers. When we're talking about locally, it's not just vegetables. There's other products out there that are being grown and produced in Kentucky that we can offer support to farmers for.
Kristi, as we wrap up, what is one thing you want individuals listening to take away from this episode?
I would love for folks to hear this and be encouraged that the local food scene is very vibrant. I can speak to that in Kentucky in particular. There are a lot of opportunities to get involved with your local food scene. What does that mean? It's supporting a local business, a local restaurant, a local farmer, visiting a local farmer's market, joining a CSA. There's a lot of different on-ramps to buying local, and there's a lot of benefits. Taking away this idea that it's very accessible to do in small ways, even if you can't do it in every way. There's definitely something you could do to start supporting local food and local farmers in your community. And it really does matter. I'm a farmer, so I'm going to say this for me, but I think other farmers would share this sentiment that we need you. We need the people in our community to support us. We're very appreciative. We're so grateful for consumers who are willing to have a little bit of inconvenience to invest in their health and invest in their communities. It's a great thing.
Kristi, thank you so much for sharing your insights on eating local with us today.
Today we learned that eating local isn't just about food. It's about health, connection, and community strength. By choosing foods grown closer to home, we nourish our bodies while investing in the people and places around. Your challenge this week: what's one local food choice you could make? Thanks for listening. Until next time, take care of yourself and the community that feeds you.
Thank you for listening to Becoming Wildly Resilient. This podcast is brought to you by University of Kentucky Human Resources, Health and Wellness. We offer a wide range of online and in-person services to support the well-being of UK employees, retirees, and their spouses. You can find experts in mental health, personal resilience, nutrition, and physical activity. We're ready to meet you where you are and address your unique needs. To learn more about the work, life, and well-being services offered by UK Human Resources, visit hr.uky.edu/wellbeing. You can also connect with us on social media and YouTube by searching @UKY Wellness or by email at healthandwellness@uky.edu.